I'm Vivek Singh, and this is the Great British Chef's signature series. We're at the Cinnamon Club restaurant, and I'm cooking my favorite halibut dish with a tomato and mussel rasam. Cooking Indian food is a lot more accessible to most people now than it was, say, 15, 20 years ago. When we first arrived, to be able to find coriander in a supermarket seemed to be a bit of a find, What I like about this particular dish, it allows me to recreate the flavors of Kerala, but also using the very best, finest fish and seafood that this country has got to offer. I've got the fish sort of cut into darns, and I like cooking the fish on the bone because it does keep it very, very moist. And I'm just preparing a quick sort of spice crust for it. Some ginger, some curry leaves, some green chilies, and so on. I'm going to marinate all that with kokum, which is this sort of black mangosteen, incredible sourness to it. If you couldn't find it, you could actually use tamarind, or some people use tomato. A lot of people are really put out by ingredient lists the size of their arm, and then not knowing what to do with it afterwards. But I mean, for anybody who cooks frequently enough and makes some of the basic spices their friends, it is an absolute revelation. The basic spices for Indian cooking, in my opinion, has got to be cumin, coriander, chilies, black peppercorn, and fennel seeds. With these 5 spices, you could cook hundreds of dishes, and just by varying their proportions. Yes, I always keep the seeds in the chilies because if you didn't like them hot, then just don't add them. But why would you? If you're going to add them, you want the heat, you like the heat. A little salt, a fair bit of ginger and green chili. You could use cod with this, you could use hake, you could use pollock, anything you like. And I'm going to turn this around and do exactly the same on the other side. 20 years ago when we started, I don't think people really were that fussed about, seasonality or regionality or, for the recipes being authentic or anything like that. But here we are, 20 years on, I do believe that people really understand the regional nuances and the variations in a way that wasn't existent 20 years ago. I've just sort of cracked some peppercorn. We fly our own spices in from India, and telaseric pepper is also available in most good supermarkets and stores. So we've marinated the halibut with some freshly chopped ginger and green chilies and curry leaves and cracked pepper and chili flakes and a bit of that black mangosteen, the kokum, which is so characteristically Keralan. And it's just a short marinade. It's not something that needs to sit in for hours or anything like that. 10 or 15 minutes is plenty. It's just going to take all the spices, all the seasoning in, and I'm going to then pan fry the fish. So I'm just going to clean up some of the Pak Choi that I'm going to serve the halibut with. I've got a tomato rasam that has been made off by cooking off tomatoes and garlic and curry leaves and black peppercorn and chilies, and it's all been reduced and completely sort of blitzed to get that sort of sauce. I'm going to cook the mussels in it, and this is the bit that I absolutely love, both about the dish as well as the ability to kind of bring together something as humble and as homely as a rasam, and then being able to cook something as fancy as halibut with it. So I'm going to start off with the halibut, searing the halibut over, kind of medium to high, 2 to 3 minutes either side, and then I'll rest it for another 6 odd minutes. It's the bone which is going to keep it sort of really together and not let it overcook, and I'll go with the mussels as well. I'll just barely wait for it to open up, and that's going to be enough. I've added a bit of tamarind into it, just for that seasoning. A little bit of salt. The menu at the Cinnamon Club is, and for all of the 20 years, it's been pan-Indian in inspiration. It kind of draws inspiration from all different parts of the country, and different cooking styles, different spicing techniques, and different cooking techniques. So we can have something as Southern Indian as a rasam, and also have something very Northern Indian like tandoori cooking. I have a fantastic team of chefs. We all come from different parts of the country. We all have recipes and stories to tell. Bit of cumin, the garlic, the important thing about using garlic or cumin or anything like that is that we want them to fry. So just a bit of salt to season and a little bit of water just to kind of create this steam. Cumin, garlic and chili, and those are the three things that have gone in there. And I'm going to let this sit. Cooking at home has become a lot more aspirational, whilst at the same time cooking in restaurants has become a lot more home style and homely, and it's this sort of general expectation that it will be or it ought to be authentic to people, and that's the big difference we see between how things were 20 years ago and how things are now. The main flavors on this dish is the kokum, which is this acidity from black mangosteen, and curry leaves, the freshness of curry leaves, and the heat from peppercorns in the rasam. And here we got the sort of the taste of the sea, just the beauty of being able to combine the very best of Kerala with the very, very best of what the British Isles have got to offer us. Lots of fried curry leaves on the garnish here. Again, adds a little bit of the crunch, that sort of moistness from the Pak Choi. And this is my Kokum-Crusted halibut with a tomato and mussel broth.